You hear that? I know you know this music if you play this game. MapleStory's music has always held a deep place in my heart, from the days of pre-Big Bang to the days of now with the release of Kaling, Kalos, Saren, and coming up soon, New Age, even to the music that was removed from the game that people still reminisce about. All the music in this game has maintained a certain feeling of emotion that never really goes away, no matter what point of your life you listen to it. Obviously more so if you grew up with the game and listened to these tracks ad nauseum on end for hours a day, but even now with newcomers who have never touched a Nexon game in their lives, that hear these tracks and become enamored with them. This isn't true for everyone, obviously, but it's something I've noticed over the years that this game's music seems to overall be universally loved by many. First off, who made this music? Who do I have to thank for all these beautiful songs? The answer varies depending on the era or year or section of the game, but for some of the most iconic Maple music, back from when the game first came out, that was made by a guy that goes by three names: Coda Sound, Lee Junhee, and Led Zepper. This man made the login music, most if not all of Victoria Island. He made the beta music that most people never even heard or probably even know about. Tracks that were removed from the game that people still have emotional attachments to. As far as I've been able to research, he's responsible for all the music in this game up to 2007, when Studio EIM took his place for newer tracks. Whether Lee Junhee is solely to thank for all the music from the game's inception up to 2007, or if he had involvement and others working on the music alongside him, I can't say for certain. I found some sources saying he made it collaborating with Wizit and or Nexon, others saying it was all him. It's a mess to research properly. I tried my best, but every dead end I came to, his name was the only one that ever got listed or directly cited for this era of MapleStory music. So, Lee Junhee, and if so, anyone else involved with MapleStory's music around this time, thank you for all the great timeless music you made over the years. Your music will live on in my soul for my entire life. As for all the things he specifically made, there's a lot to list, and I can't confirm every track he's responsible for, but here's some that I could loosely confirm were his. There's surprisingly very little documented about this game's music history, at least from what I could find in English. I read up on a ton of different Korean websites, roughly translated, and ended up down to, no joke, 10 different rabbit holes of various Maple topics. Maybe I'll get to them eventually. And I found out things about not only the composers of Maple I never even would have thought about, but various bits of history that I don't believe are very well documented anywhere in the West whatsoever. Did you know that there was a Frozen crossover event back in 2014 just for Korea MapleStory? And they had Elsa hair? And Kristoff? I'll end this section with a few more historical notes for this game. As I stated earlier, Studio EIM made most of the music from 2007 up to 2015 with the release of Heroes of Maple, an in-game questline / epic that ends with the boss fight for Damien. Past that, Maple's had a bunch of other collaborators and studios, like these named groups and or people. But currently the music of Maple is made in-house by Nexon's own music production team, Netcord or Asteria. Same studio, different names. I don't know why they have two different names for it. As good as all this game's music is, 2 years ago, Nexon decided, yeah, let's throw MapleStory's music on digital streaming platforms. Issue with this, though, is it's horribly incomplete. I'm not entirely sure if it's for legal reasons or something to do with copyright and such, but it's mainly only newer Maple music from 2017 onward, all from Asteria / Netcord. I still have some hope that someday they'll eventually release the older tracks on digital streaming services, but for now the best we got are mostly things from Arcane River onward. Did you know certain chairs have their own music that play with them? If you play the game with the sound on, the most evident one is probably the 250 and 275 chairs, but there's a bunch more. Things like the Abrupt Savior chair, which is from a now removed questline, Monad, or these event chairs from Starlight Symphony that play the Ludibrium, Irv, and Aquarium themes surrounding them. There's a whole bunch of others, like these, but they slipped my mind at the time of recording this, so I'll add them in post. I love all of this game's music, but here are some of my personal favorite tracks from this game. Temple of Time's entrance music, which just sounds so tranquil and comforting. all the tracks from Temple of Time, for that matter, are very peaceful. Orbis's music on both the airship to Orbis, as well as the town theme, I feel best capture how this game overall used to feel. The airship theme reminds me of how even things like travel used to be this big community thing, where everyone sat waiting for it to arrive and then hid inside to avoid the Crimson Balrog, or stayed inside waiting to fight him. The Orbis town theme sounds way far away from anything else on Victoria Island, almost sounding like a mashup of the Cash Shop theme, Lith Harbor theme, and some parts of Alinea, mixed up with now some upbeat flutes. It uses a lot of instruments that were prominent throughout most of Old Maple's soundtrack. Alinea's Slime Tree theme. This is the go-to nostalgia song for me, and it will never fail to make me emotional and remember the olden days, long gone from how Maple used to be. On that similar note, Alinea's town theme and surrounding map tracks are really upbeat and have really nice piano melodies. Overall, I think all of Alinea as a whole has my favorite music in this whole game, for both current and defunct tracks. Moving on to more modern Maple music, I also really like Ho Young's starting town music, Cheongwon. Latch Lane's main theme, as well as Lucid's boss themes. They're all bombastic and feel very exciting. The boss themes specifically remind me of a lot of Kingdom Hearts. Arcana's main town music and the Spirit Savior music, which I think were also just a grinding map in the cavern part, are so exciting and memorable to me. Same with Elnath's music, starting off so otherworldly and almost futuristic in the sense of as far as early 2000s future stuff was concerned with, and then calmly breaking into this very relaxing guitar and piano driving the main melody home, minimal percussion and all. There's so many more that I could gush about for hours. I also now get an excuse to transition into my outro with a song that I always use for my outros, which is actually from MapleStory 2, Spring in Critias. That game itself has tons of music entirely unique to it, as well as a bunch of other Maple 1 song remixes or reimaginings. Check them out if you're a fan of the music of MapleStory. I realize this isn't my typical type of video of explaining Maple-related things, or some class/leveling guide, but if you made it this far, thank you for watching me gush about MapleStory's music. I just wanted to talk about what I like about this game's music, as well as just trying to find answers to who composed the various tracks of this game. That's all.